Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight. If you want to make it in this life, you're going to have to kill those weak feelings. I mean, bury them. Stop feeding them. Stop making excuses for them. Because those feelings, they're not helping you. They're holding you back. They're keeping you soft. And life ain't soft. Life's tough. And it don't wait for nobody. Weak feelings are temporary emotions that don't define your purpose or potential. They come and go like the wind, sometimes strong enough to shake you, but never strong enough to determine your destiny, unless you let them. You have to understand that your feelings in the moment are not a true reflection of your future. Just because you feel unworthy today doesn't mean you aren't worthy. Just because you feel tired doesn't mean you're not capable. Just because you feel fear doesn't mean you're not brave. Your purpose, your potential, your calling, none of it is measured by your emotions. Weak feelings are just mental visitors. They knock on the door when life gets hard, when the path gets long, when the applause dies down, and when progress feels invisible. And the mistake so many people make is letting those visitors move in, unpack, and make themselves comfortable in their minds. You need to treat weak feelings like you treat spam calls. Recognize them, ignore them, and block them from your mind. People confuse feelings with facts, but there's a difference. The fact is, you are capable of so much more than you're giving yourself credit for. The fact is, you survived every hard day of your life up to this point. The fact is, you've got more power in you than you've ever tapped into. But the feeling says, I can't. The feeling says, I'm done. The feeling says it's not worth it. And if you follow feelings instead of facts, you end up in a life you never wanted, wondering why nothing ever changed. You can't afford to let a moment of emotion define your direction. Purpose doesn't respond to your mood. Potential doesn't decrease just because you feel down. You are not your feelings. You are what you decide to do in spite of them. That's what separates those who make it from those who don't. Look around at the people who are winning in life. You think they feel strong every day? You think they never have doubts, fears, or insecurities? Of course they do. The difference is they don't let those feelings win. They acknowledge the feeling, but then they keep moving forward anyway. That's real strength. Not the absence of weak feelings, but the refusal to be ruled by them. Weak feelings are like clouds. They can block your light, but they can never extinguish it. And if you wait for them to go away before you take action, you might never move at all. There is no guarantee that your emotions will line up with your goals. That's why discipline matters. That's why clarity of purpose matters. Because when the feelings get loud, you need something louder. A voice inside that says, I'm not stopping, I'm not folding, I'm not quitting. And don't think for a second that killing weak feelings means pretending they don't exist. That's not strength, that's denial. Real strength is looking those feelings in the face and saying, I see you, but you don't control me. Real power is understanding that emotions are signals, not commands. You can feel fear without being paralyzed by it. You can feel discouraged and still speak life into your situation. Your ability to move despite weakness is what creates resilience. And resilience is what leads to growth. No one grows in comfort. No one evolves in ease. Weak feelings are part of the test. You were never meant to coast through life. You were meant to rise, to push, to stretch, and to overcome. That's why you can't trust your feelings, because most of the time, they're just trying to keep you safe, not strong. They want comfort, not calling. They want familiar, not freedom. Because you can't live your full destiny if you're always controlled by fear, doubt, and insecurity. These three emotions are some of the most powerful chains that hold people back from becoming what they were truly born to be. Fear will keep you from taking the first step. Doubt will make you question every move you make, and insecurity will whisper in your ear that you're not enough. When you allow those emotions to take control of your mind, you hand over the keys to your future. You stop moving forward not because you're incapable, but because you're mentally trapped in a cage built by lies your emotions tell you. Destiny doesn't wait on your fear to pass. It doesn't pause because you're unsure. It doesn't shrink itself to fit your comfort zone. Your destiny was built for boldness, for courage, for someone willing to move even when they're shaken. And the truth is, most people miss their moment not because the opportunity wasn't there, but because they let fear talk them out of it. When you're controlled by doubt, everything looks like a risk. Every step feels like a gamble. Even your own dreams feel like someone else's story. You start questioning everything, your ability, your timing, your background. You wonder if you're too early, too late, too young, too old, too inexperienced, too broken. But that's what doubt does. It doesn't need to prove that you'll fail. It just needs to convince you not to try. And when you give it that power, you begin shrinking your dreams to match your fear instead of expanding your courage to match your vision. People think the problem is that they're not ready, but the real problem is that they've let their emotions be in the driver's seat. And when your emotions lead, your future stalls. Emotions make terrible leaders, but great messengers. Listen to them, acknowledge fear, but don't surrender to it. Notice doubt, but don't build your life around it. Feel the insecurity, but don't let it write your story. So many dreams are buried because someone felt unworthy. So many businesses, ideas, talents, and callings never reach the world because the person behind them listened to their insecurities more than they listened to their calling. They were gifted but not bold. They had the ability but not the belief. Destiny isn't just about talent. It's about endurance. It's about pushing past every single voice that says you're not enough and proving that you are. It's about choosing action over emotion, obedience over thinking, and movement over paralysis. You don't have to be fearless to win. You just have to be willing to show up, willing to fail, willing to keep going, willing to ignore the noise in your head long enough to let your purpose be louder than your panic. Your future self doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be persistent. And persistence can't live in the same house as fear, doubt, and insecurity. You got to evict those emotions before they cost you more than they already have. You've got to stop rehearsing everything that could go wrong and start believing that something might go right. You've got to start thinking in terms of destiny, not deficiency. The moment you stop giving fear permission to control your decisions is the moment your destiny starts breathing again. Every time you say no to insecurity, you say yes to growth. Every time you take a step in faith, you silence doubt. You don't wait until you feel brave to start. You start, and that's what makes you brave. Success doesn't care about your emotions. It only respects your effort and consistency. The truth about success is it's cold, it's demanding, and it's brutally honest. It doesn't respond to how you feel in the morning, or whether you're having a bad day, or whether your motivation is high or low. Success doesn't knock politely on your door and wait for your mood to improve. It waits for action. It waits for discipline. It waits for you to show up again and again, even when everything inside you is screaming to stop. This is where most people get it wrong. They think if they don't feel like it, they shouldn't do it. They let emotions be the fuel, and when the emotional tank runs empty, they shut down. But champions aren't powered by emotion. They're powered by decision. They've decided that no matter how they feel, the work is going to get done. The goal is going to be pursued. The effort is going to be given. If you want real success, you have to stop waiting for the perfect emotional state. You have to start saying, I'll work when I'm motivated, or I'll start when I feel ready. Readiness is a myth. Motivation is inconsistent. Feelings are unpredictable. And success is too expensive to be paid for with excuses. It demands sacrifice. It demands discipline when no one's watching. It demands late nights, early mornings, silent progress, and a whole lot of uncomfortable repetition. And while others are caught up in how they feel, the ones who succeed are focused on what needs to be done. They understand that emotion can ride in the car, but it doesn't get to hold the wheel. Feelings can exist, but they don't get to make the decisions. You have to train yourself to work beyond emotion. You have to be able to feel tired and still show up, feel discouraged and still execute, feel frustrated and still maintain focus. That's what builds mental toughness. That's what separates the consistent from the chaotic. Anyone can give effort when they feel good. Anyone can hustle when they're inspired. But what about when you're exhausted, when you're overlooked, when you're doubting yourself, when you feel like nobody's paying attention, when the results aren't showing up yet? That's when most people quit. That's when most people back down and call it balance or self-care or whatever other label helps them feel better about giving up on themselves. But success isn't emotional. It's mechanical. You do the work, stay consistent. You don't negotiate with your goal. If you're serious about building something great, you've got to stop thinking like an amateur and start thinking like a professional. Amateurs work when they feel like it. Professionals work because it needs to be done. That shift in mindset is what will take you from average to exceptional. Stop asking yourself, do I feel like it? And start asking what needs to happen today to move forward. That single question will change your life. Because feelings come and go. But discipline, consistency, and commitment, they compound. And over time, they deliver results that emotion could never produce. You have to get to a place where your goals are bigger than your mood, where your purpose outweighs your pain, where your mission is stronger than your excuses. Because once you stop waiting to feel good to do good, you unlock a version of yourself that doesn't flinch under pressure, doesn't back down from challenge, and doesn't disappear when things get hard. You start becoming the kind of person that success respects because you've learned how to show up regardless of how you feel. Every challenge in life is a test of strength, not a permission slip to quit. Challenges are not signs that you're on the wrong path. They're proof that you're walking towards something meaningful. Life doesn't test the weak to crush them. It tests the strong to sharpen them. And if you're facing resistance right now, if you're dealing with setback after setback, that doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're being shaped. Diamonds don't form in comfort. Steel didn't forge in calm. Everything worth having is born through heat, through pressure, through difficulty. But when people see obstacles, most of them freeze. They think it's a sign to turn back, a reason to retreat, a moment to delay the dream. That's the mistake. You're not supposed to run from difficulty. You're supposed to rise through it. Every challenge that stands in your way is asking you a question. How bad do you really want it? Do you want enough to fight through the pain? Do you want enough to keep going when no one's cheering? Do you want enough to walk alone when everyone else walks away? When you change how you see challenge, you change how you respond to life. People with weak mindsets look at struggle and say, this must not be for me. But people who are built to win say, this is part of it. They don't back down when it gets hard. They lean in. They dig deeper. They push further because they understand that strength isn't something you're born with. It's something you earn. And you earn it every time you choose perseverance over comfort. Every time you keep your word to yourself when no one else is watching. Every time you stand back up after being knocked down. It's easy to smile when things are going right. It's easy to be confident when everything's clicking. But who are you when it all goes wrong? Who are you when the plan falls apart? When the support disappears? When the doors close? That's the version of you that life wants to see. That's the real test. Not the version that's surrounded by applause, but the version that's surrounded by silence and still moves forward. Every challenge is preparing you for something bigger. It's not just a struggle. It's a setup for growth, for resilience, for wisdom. You don't get stronger by skipping the gym, and you don't get mentally tough by avoiding life's heavy lifting. Challenges are life's gym sessions. They tear down the parts of you that are weak so that strength can be built in their place. You might not see it now, but every storm you endure is carving a deeper foundation in you. A foundation that can handle more pressure, carry more weight, and rise to greater levels. But only if you stop treating challenges like curses and start treating them like opportunities. Quitting doesn't make the challenge go away. It just guarantees that you'll never see what was on the other side of it. You'll never know how strong you could have become. You'll never know how high you could have climbed. And the truth is, most people quit not because it's impossible, but because they don't like how it feels. It feels heavy. It feels unfair. It feels lonely. But that's where the transformation begins. When you show up anyway, when you push past the pain, when you decide that your destiny is worth the discomfort. You weren't made to break under pressure. You were made to bend, to stretch, to expand, and to rise. Every challenge is a mirror showing you what's inside, not what you lack, but what you're capable of becoming if you don't give up. Confidence is not built when everything is easy. It's built when you push through discomfort. Real confidence doesn't come from compliments or applause or achievements that come without effort. It's earned in the moments when no one is watching and everything in you wants to give up, but you don't. It's earned when you keep moving forward, even when doubt is heavy and your back is against the wall. Confidence is forged in difficulty, refined through discipline, and strengthened by perseverance. When you only chase comfort, you rob yourself of the chance to grow into who you were meant to be, because comfort doesn't challenge you. And if you're not challenged, you're not changing. And if you're not changing, you're not becoming strong. You're just staying the same. Most people wait until they feel confident to take action, but that's not how confidence works. You don't get confidence first and then move. You move first and build confidence as a result. Every step you take in discomfort makes you a little stronger. Every time you do something hard, something inconvenient, something scary, you're training your mind that fear doesn't have power over you. Confidence is not about being fearless. It's about being willing to act in spite of fear. It's about showing up again and again, even when you feel unsure, even when you're tired, even when the results aren't immediate. That kind of mental discipline changes how you walk into every room, how you speak to every challenge, how you carry yourself in moments of pressure. It's not loud, it's not arrogant, it's solid, it's steady, it's earned. The people who walk with real confidence are the ones who have failed and kept going. They faced rejection and still shown up the next day. They've been knocked down, but chose to rise again. Because every time you get back up, you tell your mind, your body, and your spirit that you will not be broken, and that creates a foundation of confidence that no one can shake. You don't get that from winning every time. You get it from surviving the losses and still choosing to grow. You build confidence in the work, in the early mornings, in the hard reps, in the uncomfortable silence when no one believes in you, but you keep believing anyway. Confidence is a reflection of trust. Trust in your own effort, your preparation, your integrity. That trust is developed when you consistently do what you said you would do. Every time you keep your promise to yourself, your self-respect grows. Every time you push through when quitting would be easier, your belief in yourself strengthens. And that belief, that's where confidence lives. Not in the results, not in the applause, not in the trophies, but in the process, in the pressure, in the persistence. You've got to get to a place where you stop chasing confidence and start creating it. Where you stop waiting to feel strong and start proving that you are. You can't become unstoppable without first being uncomfortable. Growth lives on the other side of pain, and every time you choose growth over comfort, you build a little more courage, a little more resilience, a little more confidence. It's in the doing, not to dream it. It's in the sweat, not the spotlight. So when life gets tough, don't step back. Step forward, lean in. That's how you stretch. That's how you sharpen. That's how you become unshakable. Confidence isn't something you borrow. It's something you earn over time through struggle, through effort, through relentless repetition of showing up stronger than your excuses. Emotional discipline is the difference between average and extraordinary. It's not about pretending emotions don't exist or becoming cold and disconnected. It's about learning to manage your emotions instead of letting them manage you. People who lack emotional discipline make decisions based on how they feel in the moment, and that always leads to inconsistency. One day they're on fire, full of energy and motivation, ready to take over the world. The next day they're overwhelmed, anxious, and stuck in a cycle of hesitation and self-doubt. That inconsistency creates chaos, and chaos destroys progress. To become extraordinary, you have to rise above the emotional noise and train your mind to stay focused regardless of the storm going on inside you. Life will never give you perfect emotional conditions to succeed. There will always be stress, disappointment, frustration, insecurity, or fear. But emotional discipline teaches you to keep moving anyway. It allows you to feel those emotions without letting them paralyze you. It tells you that just because you're angry doesn't mean you say something you'll regret. Just because you're afraid doesn't mean you back down. Just because you're tired doesn't mean you stop showing up. When you master emotional discipline, you stop being reactive and start being intentional. You stop chasing temporary comfort and start building long-term strength. And that strength sets you apart from the people who let every wave of emotion knock them off track. The average person is a slave to how they feel. They skip workouts because they're not in the mood. They procrastinate on their goals because they feel overwhelmed. They lash out at others because they haven't learned how to process pain in a healthy way. But extraordinary people choose differently. They don't run from uncomfortable emotions. They face them, process them, and push through them. They've trained themselves to act according to values and vision, not feelings and impulse. That kind of emotional control doesn't come easy. It takes time. It takes self-awareness. It takes choosing the hard thing over the easy thing again and again. But the reward is powerful because when you have emotional discipline, nothing can stop you from staying consistent, focused, and locked in on your mission. You don't need to suppress what you feel. You just need to build the strength to not be ruled by it. Emotional discipline isn't about avoiding emotion. It's about redirecting it. Anger can be fuel. Fear can be focus. Sadness can be reflection. Every emotion has a purpose, but you have to be the one to guide that energy towards something productive. The people who reach the top in any area of life aren't the ones who never feel down. They're the ones who've learned how to work through the lows without losing momentum. Emotional maturity is knowing that every feeling is valid, but not every reaction is. And when you master that, you move with power instead of panic. When you're emotionally disciplined, your decisions become sharper. Your relationships become healthier. Your goals become more reachable because your actions are steady, not scattered. You don't keep restarting every time life hits hard because you've trained yourself to endure and adapt. You know how to show up even on the days that don't feel good. That's what builds legacy. That's what creates leaders. That's what defines champions. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's discipline, especially emotional discipline, that builds greatness. The stronger your emotional control, the clearer your path becomes. And clarity is a powerful weapon in a world full of confusion and chaos. It keeps you grounded when everything around you is shaking. It reminds you of who you are and where you're going, even when your emotions are trying to pull you in the opposite direction.